program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Intercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Good morning and welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I am Becky Alley, filling in for the one and only Harvey Freed. To my right, I got our trusty, fearless leader, Mr. Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Becky. It's great to be back in the studio. I haven't been in the studio in 18 months. Actually, second time in 18 months. It's good to be back out in the real world.
I know I had to get my sea legs. I had to get my fat little unicorn earbuds out, my jam. It is also Sweetest Day, and we have a great sweetie in the studio. As Harry mentioned, Mr. Joe Muck. He is no stranger to the Hardcore Mortgage Show with Capital Mortgage Funding.
What up, everybody? I did not know it was Happy Sweetest Day, so happy Sweetest Day to everybody out there.
I'm glad you reminded us.
I know,
Yeah.
yes. So
in big trouble.
this is an advocate show, right? So I'm here to make sure that there's someone out there that wants you to bring them flowers. So make sure you do not forget, bring someone flowers, even if it's your grandma, she'll be very happy. We're going to be taking all your calls. 248-539-9797. And as you know, we give you 1 hour straight of hardcore truth, what to do, what not to do. And this has been a crazy 18 months, in my opinion, right? The market, the COVID, not being in the studio, and here we are. And I kind of want to get your take on it, Joe. What has been the craziest for you in the last 18 months?
I think it's just taking buyers out, and you put the greatest offer you've ever seen in your life, and you find out it's not going to win. I mean, it's been crazy. We're out here, we're working hard, we're showing homes, we're listing homes, and they're selling. And not every house is selling above asking. Not every house is selling at 110%, but many of them are. And, I brought some stats. We can get into them in a little bit or now or whatever. But, these houses that are selling, it's unbelievable. Some of them that are out there, they're nice, but there's almost nothing special about them. And yet you're seeing them sell, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 above asking, or you're seeing multiple bidders, even if it sells under asking. It's
Joe,
there's 3 of them.
What about this scenario? I ran into a realtor partner of mine, realtor friend. I ran into him just we were out and about, and he came up to me and said, "Here, are you still seeing the multiple offers?" I said, "Well, that's the question I have for you. Are you still seeing the multiple offers?" And he says to me, he says, "Listen, I'm listing a house right now, $400,000. We got offers in, we got $10,000, $15,000 over. Okay, that's normal and customary in this market, right?" He said one offer came in $75,000 over, and they didn't even need to do it. If somebody would have called and said, "Hey, we have multiple offers," now they can't give it away. They don't want to put their client in a bad negotiating position, but it came in $75,000 just so they could get the house. So this realtor, real conscientious person, says to his seller, he said, "Listen, this house is not going to appraise for $475,000. We can take the offer, but it might never close because of an appraisal unless they want to go ahead and what, Joe?
Give an appraisal guarantee.
Yeah,
Mhm.
appraisal guarantee.
Appraisal portion of the transaction and say, I'll cover the difference from what the lender's appraiser says to my offer price."
Yeah, we'll get in explaining all that, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So it didn't need to come in at 475. It did. They got the house, but like you said, and even though he was on the right side of the transaction, he just felt it was totally unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, in those scenarios, every client says to us, "What do you suggest I get in?" And I said, "Well, here's the comps. Here's what we've seen, some other sales. But at the end of the day, how are you going to sleep tonight if you find out you didn't hit this house?" And that's the number.
Yeah.
Whatever that number is that you're not going to sleep good about, that's the number. So in that scenario, those folks wouldn't have slept good if they didn't get that house for less than or over 475. They would have been slept fine if someone would have bought it for 490. They would have known they did put their best foot forward, right? And that's really what it comes down to, is we do our job saying, here's your comps, here's what we've seen. The average is going for 103%. So that's, 424, whatever the math is on that, right? But are you going to sleep good tonight if you don't get the house at the number that I just threw out there?
Yeah,
and if
put
the
your
answer is
best
no,
foot forward,
you got to
right.
put more out there.
Sure.
And that's a valid point. Because I think we were talking about this even on the podcast, right? So you can also follow us on, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We have a podcast, Hardcore Mortgage Podcast as well. And to that point, what are you willing to pay for something that you really want, right? You can buy a stick of gum for 50 cents, but if it's the last gum on the face of the planet, right? Are you going to pay $2 for that piece of gum? Yes. And if, it's something that you really want, there is no really there's not a dollar amount that you're going to put on something that you can see yourself living in forever.
And the secondary part of that is actually, well, how much is the market expected to go up? So in the same scenario, if you want to go 3, 4, 5% above asking,
That seems reasonable. We have no reason to believe that the market's not going to go up minimally that much next year. It's expected to go up through 2022. So yes, we've seen these 12 and 15 and 20% increases and things like that year over year, whatever. But we know we're going to get another 5 to 8% minimally next year. So if you can fall within that line and you're comfortable with it, I say do it. But don't start putting these numbers out there going 40% above asking.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to have one heck of a market for you to get that money back, man.
Yeah, well, I will say this, you're right. The market is projected to increase through 2022, but what's also going to increase, as we all know, our mortgage rates are going to increase.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage rates, I did a little homework for you guys. This is a sports station, and 2 days ago was the 15th anniversary of the Maglio Ordonez walk-off home run.
I was at that game. That was
so awesome.
I was at that game.
I was at the game. It was phenomenal that we beat the A's, went to the World Series for the first time since 1984. So you ready? In 1984, mortgage rates, the average 30-year fix was over almost 14%. In 2006, when Maglio hit the home run, rates were at 6 3/8.
Mm-hmm.
Even 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, rates were at 4 3/8. 5 years ago, on a 30-year fix, over 3.5. You know where rates are right now, Joe and Becky?
Tell us.
3 1/4.
Yep.
So what are you waiting for? We know they're going to go up. We know home prices are going to go up, and we know values are going to go up at least through 2022. That's a prediction. They're not coming down. So what are people waiting for when they're looking to buy a home? They can certainly afford it. Rates are certainly low. We know the prices aren't coming down, and we know rates aren't coming down. So this is where we are today. We are in the now society. Here's what's going on now. Rates are low. Prices aren't coming down, and we're in a hot market. And the lack of inventory, right?
The lack of inventory is huge. Quickly on your point, I put up a post a few weeks ago about if you buy a house today at this price, or you wait for your impending crash that you think is coming and you've thought is coming for the last 10 years. Well, what would happen if the rate was actually more reasonable at like 4% versus 3%? It was like a $60,000 price difference. So you're waiting for the price to go down so that way the interest rate can go up and you can pay the same amount. Yeah. So if that's what you're waiting for, stop waiting. If you're waiting because you're not ready, then keep waiting, right? If this isn't the time, then let's wait. But if this is time, then let's go.
I'm big on goals, right? So we have less than 77 days left in the year, right? In 2021, right? So if you are looking to make home ownership a reality, you still have plenty of time to achieve that goal. If that was on your list of things, I'm big on writing my goals down. Not everyone does that, but I feel like if you write it down, therefore it is written, it shall be done, right? So if home ownership was something that you wanted to do, all it takes is you waking up and making a decision, right? And that starts with a phone call, and it starts with getting yourself in line with some great, amazing professionals. And speaking of great, amazing professionals, we are joined by Mr. John Kolb, a fellow top 1% originator at Capital Mortgage Funding. And I do want to get his take because I know he is very big on goals and education. And I just want to hear what he has to say for anyone that's thinking about either selling, buying, refinancing right now.
Yeah, hey guys, glad to be here and glad to be the minority. I'm sitting at home and you guys are all looking beautiful in the studio. Way to go.
I know, it feels cool being back.
We had to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great angle that we got of Harry. It just makes his head even much bigger. So, but hey, guys, it is so important, like Becky said, to make sure you're getting your education. Joe made a great point on that 475 analogy, but the number one thing is making sure you understand the numbers, right? Making sure you're getting educated, like Becky, Harry, Joe have said, that you are understanding that if you put a $75,000 over asking price offer, what does that actually mean to you total out of pocket if it doesn't appraise? Talk to your people, make sure they're giving you the best advice. Talk to Becky, talk to Joe, make sure that they know what the worst case scenario, so that, like Joe said, you could, at the end of the night, you can put your head down on the pillow, sleep well, and understand that the numbers were good.
All right, thank you, John. And when we come back, we'll be taking all your calls, 248-539-9797. We're also going to get a little bit more in depth with these rates. Where do you think they're going? And later on the show, we're going to give our fourth quarter predictions.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Business Show. Capital Mortgage Funding is powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, MLS 2289, which is also an equal housing lender. Have to get that compliance stuff out of there. Hooray for that. So before the break, we were kind of certain, we were tiptoeing about the rates, right? And so while I hesitate to bring up rates when Mr. Joe Muck is in my presence, because I feel like sometimes when we talk about the rates, things start to happen, but our rates doomed to go higher, right? I feel like that's always a topic. It's always this even when the rates are the lowest they've ever been, it's always this elusive thing that's lingering around. And the answer is yes, maybe, right? There's so many things that are going on in the world constantly every day that affect the interest rates. And something that I want to point out is that the market changes every day, sometimes multiple times a day. But the reality is that over the last month, it's changed about a quarter, right? So we're sitting at about 3.25. I did some research on my own. This time last year, the rates were 3.25 as well, right? So what does that tell you? You're having these ups and downs, but in the reality, they are still settling. Now with inflation and all this talk about, how, and then the COVID-19, the delayed effects, how it's going to affect interest rates, right? But the biggest thing is that if you see a rate that is advertised, 1.99, I'm calling fake news. What do you say about that, John?
I think I was just going to say, don't fall for the lure. I mean, don't fall for the shiny thing in the water that wants to hook you in and pull you in. Like Becky is talking about. When we discuss rates on this show, typically we are discussing with a no point option because we are trying to save people as much money as we can. When you see these rates online on TV, it's like the brand new Cadillac Denali, $200 a month, but in that small print, you got to bring $30,000 to closing. You can get any rate you want. It just depends on how much you want to pay for it. And if you're going to shop online for a mortgage, I mean, Becky, answer these questions real quick. Yes. Do you shop online?
Yes.
Would you shop for a mortgage?
Yes.
But you would never shop online for a mortgage because you need to make sure that you're getting out there and asking the right questions. And when you're shopping online for a mortgage, they're just luring you in. Product is what they were sold at their sales pitch to tell everyone to get into. And that's just not what is reality. Maybe that 1.99 makes sense for that 1, 2, 3 people out there. But for the majority of people, they can't afford to lose the equity by rolling 20 grand in a closing cost into their mortgage or bringing that money to close. So you got to talk to somebody, sit down with somebody face to face, over the phone, over Zoom, whatever the case may be, and figure out your scenario and what's best for you.
Well, you understand, John, that every consumer, when they get quoted a rate, they think they're paying 0 points and minimal cost.
That is so
Of
true.
course they do. Of course they do.
So
They're not told the truth.
And that's right, because they're not, who's ever quoting them is not telling them that because they know that the consumer thinks that they're not paying anything for that. And the quotes are apples to apples quotes. We in the industry know that's not true. That is why you've got to come out with the hardcore truth of the matter and say, listen, when we get one of those crazy 0.2436 ready, set, hike rates that people are quoting, okay, that we know when we hear it, rates are within maybe 1/8 to 1/4 all over the board, all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
If it's some crazy low rate, ooh, I like that low rate. I might have to trademark that.
Oh, hey, wait.
And when I hear a rate that is just doesn't make any sense, I know that the consumer is getting charged an arm and a leg. So, and we have to explain that to people. Not everybody knows, and I'm okay with that. It's the deception that I have a problem with.
Yes, deception. That is a really good word because that's true because actually you just had a conversation with someone about 9:00 last night. They were online doing their due diligence. He's actually a return client of mine as well. And he was like, hey, I was contacted by my current servicer. They offered me X rate. And I was like, okay, well, are they charging you points? Well, no, they said it wasn't. And I was like, okay, do you have it in writing? No, I don't. It was over the phone. Okay. So immediately I said, I got your back. You need to get that in writing. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be points involved because there's no way that you're going to be getting in the 2s right now on a 30-year fix without paying an exorbitant amount of points to get this rate that you're speaking of. And, sure as I'm sitting here, and as we all know, it was page 2, we're looking at the points, and he was like, I should know, thank you, Becky. That's why I always come to you, et cetera. But that's the thing. That's where you separate the mice from the men, right? Or the women from the whatever you want to call it. But because we're here to not tell you what you need to hear, we're going to tell you not that you want to hear, but what you need to hear, right? Because if you talk to enough people, someone's going to tell you what you want to hear, right? And we're not here to do that. And that's why we're here to help you the best way we can. And I want to kind of push it over to Joe. So with the rates being where they're at, what does that mean for buyers, right? You're in the most competitive market. So for seasoned buyers, repeat buyers, I'm assuming that as the price points have been increasing, people have been taking advantage of these lower rates to actually be able to buy more house.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to chime in and continue backing you guys.
Yeah.
Imagine going to a grocery store or going to any store and you pick up your product and you have to go to checkout to find out how much it is. And then when you get there, you find out that it's way different than you ever thought it was going to be.
Or maybe they say today we have lunch meat and it's free.
You're like, wow, free lunch meat.
Free lunch meat.
Boar's Head is like $11.99 a pound these days.
Meatloaf.
Love Boar's Head.
So I get my Boar's Head and it's $11.99 a pound normally, and I get to the checkout and they say, oh, it's only free if you do these things. And they start negotiating with you. And now you're at checkout, so you feel kind of obligated to continue this transaction to get your free Boar's Head. That's exactly what's happening with some of these lenders. Right. Some of these lenders are saying, call in, we got 1.99%. And then once I got you on the phone and I started schmoozing you a little bit, now before you know it, you're at 3.25, and you could have just done business with the normal lender that's doing things the right way. So I just kind of had to add in on that. To your question, to your point about what's happening, yes, people have more buying power, which is really important, because back in March of 2020 in Oakland County, the average sale price was $321,600. And in September of 2021 in Oakland County, the average sales price is $384,000. So we've seen a $63,000 jump. If you don't have low rates, you're going to be paying a huge mortgage payment. You need to take advantage. If we're at 3, we're at 3.25, even if we get to 3.5, because we can't go down much more than we've seen go down, right? We're not going to lend at 0% interest.
Can you repeat that
rates
for
aren't going
us?
to zero.
Can you repeat that?
But we know this, okay? So what we have to do is let people know that the rates are low right now. They're going to go up. That doesn't mean that you won't be able to afford a house. It just means that the rates are not going to stay the same as they are now. Historically low rates. It's just they have to go up. Isaac Newton, right?
And if you're working with educated lenders,
Realtors, things like that, and you are working with people who are listening to what's going on, that the Fed is not going to keep rates where they're at. They've only kept them there potentially because inflation's been so bad. So with inflation going up, they have to try and keep the economy moving. So that's why rates are staying where they're at. If we don't have inflation, we potentially see close to 4% interest rates right now anyways, don't we?
Well, you're going to see that because they say that inflation's on the rise. They're trying to temper that. They say the economy's coming back. And if you read all the reports, and I have them in front of me, and it'd be boring, I get geeky on you right now.
Get geeky. I like getting geeky.
But the economy's coming back. Believe it or not, the economy's coming back. Got a bad jobs report, but jobs are going to come back. Listen, the airlines are flying. People are traveling more. Look, we're in the studio, all three of us. All right, 3 weeks ago, we would not be in the studio. We have one of us in the studio. And it's been 18, 19 months. So people are starting to get back on track right now. Now, the service industries, the restaurants, yeah, they're hurting right now because they can't get people to come back to work. But people are slowly but surely going to get back into the mainstream. So what does that mean? Economy's coming back and rates are going to go up. I'm telling everybody right now, rates are going to go up. But they're not crazy. It's not going up to 14%.
No, yeah, it's still going to be within a range that still makes sense for you. So right now we're at 3.25. That's the national average on a 30-year fix. So even if they do go up to 3.5 another quarter within, by the first quarter of 2022, right? It's still going to make sense. It's not going to price you so far out of a house where you can't afford that payment anymore.
Well, and the trends are, I talked to some builder friends of mine, the national trends of builders. Builders are telling me that they're selling houses. That trend's going to continue through 2022. So new construction is hot.
New construction continues to be half the reason we're in the market we're in. It's impossible to get into new construction. And now it's worse than ever. Some of these builders have waiting lists just to put a deposit down to build a house.
And speaking of new construction, what's another big deal is we have people looking out for second homes. So I do want to go to a call. Randy is looking for a lake house. Thank you for calling in. I'm gonna let John take this one. I know that, he has a second up north property. And I know that he loves taking these kind of, questions.
Yeah. So, Randy, number one thing is you say that you can only afford one payment. Is that one payment based upon your current scenario? Or are you, projecting on future?
Well, what's the payment you're thinking about paying? What's the payment you're thinking about paying?
Okay. And what are you paying right now on your current mortgage? All right. Well, here's the number one thing that I see, or if you're trying to do something now for the future, $1,200 a month on a $45,000 mortgage doesn't make any sense. The numbers just don't jive. So there's some you probably continuing to pay on a higher balanced mortgage, but you're paying all principal and interest, everything like that. So this is a really a sit down and figure out where and what's best for you in your scenario. If you want to jump into a second home right now, then maybe it makes sense to redo your first mortgage and get some of the cash out, am it over a longer period of time so that you have that cash to buy that second home and keep that payment where you want. It's all about running the numbers and seeing what makes sense for you. Just knowing that, we're here to do mortgages for people, get the deals done, and we move on to the next client. But I got to make sure that you understand that when you buy a second home, there is a ton of more expenses that come along with it. And I'd be happy to go over all that stuff with you off the air. Just let me know, but there's a lot of numbers that we have to run.
Gary, that was a great call, and we'll definitely be giving you a call after the show to kind of see what's going to the best scenario for you, whether it is to pull the equity out of your home, use it as a down payment, or can you just, do we sell it and get you into that lake house now? So
right here, 248-539-9797.
keep it right here, 248-539-9797. We'll be taking all your calls, and we're going to talk about all the second mortgages out there. I think I want to buy me a lake house.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
back to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. I am Becky Alley, filling in for Harvey Freed. I know you all miss his pretty little voice, and I hope he's having a great sweetest day. Just want to remind everyone to buy someone flowers, even if it's for your puppy. Buy someone flowers. Happy sweetest day.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Harvey, we hope you're feeling better. He's a little under the weather. He's the host of the Mortgage Real Estate Business Show every morning, 9 to 10 here. But he's doing a phenomenal job. And we have Joe Mock, I'm Harry Glanz, John Kolb is on Zoom, everybody. So listen, all your calls, 485-339-9797. We started this show about 23 years ago, Becky. And yeah, he was in nursing school. So,
I was not.
we started this show 23 years ago. It's been great. It's a consumer advocacy program for all your questions regarding mortgages, real estate, any business questions you have. We used to start out the show with a market report. We used to give a report on the stock market, what gold and silver were doing, what the economy was doing. But you want to know, 23 years ago, maybe that was all the information that we had. Now we have so much information at our fingertips. The mortgage and real estate portion of the show takes up only 100% of it. So we just try to get information, the best consumer advocacy advice out there. And that's why we call it the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, because like Becky said, you know, you need to hear this information. You might not want it. Honestly, it's pretty tough sometimes, but you know, you got to hear it. Don't be deceived. It's the dissemination of accurate versus inaccurate information. There's a lot of inaccurate information out there in the world. So,
Well, it's like like you said, everyone has that same information. Everyone has it right on their fingertips, and everyone thinks that they're an expert, right? But, you know, you can't put a price on real live human interaction with people that this is what we do. We don't do this part-time. This is full-time. And someone like Joe, when you were, you know, looking for houses, right? You were talking about, this is one of the most competitive real estate markets in history, right? So you have some of these real estate agents that are coming in the market because they see it like, oh, this is great. It's like gangbusters, right? Well, here you guys are hustling the hardest you've ever had to work in your entire careers.
It's been rough. There's been people that's left the industry. And I've always thought, since I got into the industry, that we would see this day sometime, because we would go back to a buyer's market. We're in a seller's market, meaning, you know, that there's low inventory.
So sellers generally get to dictate the terms. So I assumed we would enter a buyer's market, and some of the agents that really didn't understand how to do business, they just got it because it was relatively easy for them, we're going to leave the industry. Well, no, it came to this fact where you were showing 30 homes, not because you had to see 30, they loved 20 of them. And you wrote 20 offers and you didn't get any of them accepted. You know, this comes back to what we started with. I've seen amazing blow your socks off offers not get accepted. And so as such, this industry has been very tough on many people, the buyers, the sellers, the realtors, the lenders, the appraisers. Everybody is overworked. Everybody is working harder than ever, and everybody's trying to get as much done as we can, because it's a great time to invest or buy in real estate, and you're trying to get it done while you can right now, with the rates being low, with inventory being low. And it's a great time to sell, and it is a great time to buy. It's just that it's competitive.
You know, you brought up two good points I just want to jump in on. One is appraisals, right? So that's a huge topic, and I want to kick it over to Harry on this one, right? So I feel as if there's a little bit of an appraisal crisis, right? But really, is it appraisal crisis, or is it lenders in hindsight setting unrealistic expectations? And what I'm getting at is, you know, we're seeing appraisal turn times go longer and longer, right? And a little bit of an increase of the appraisal prices, right? So in my opinion, you're talking about, you have these appraisers that have been overworked for 18 months, right? They have triple, quadruple the orders, but yet it's the same amount of appraisers doing the same work.
Okay, but I'm not going to go back to them and all you appraisal people out there. Thinking that you can call me, do whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you what, you guys, and it's like us, and Joe said it, the market is hot right now. People that are overworked, I'm looking to stay overworked.
Yep.
And you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Everything's cyclical. This will turn and it will become a buyer's market again. It always happens this way. From the appraiser standpoint, listen, appraisers are taking advantage.
Yeah.
Right. They're taking advantage. Turn times are longer. They're picking and choosing more of their assignments because they know that they're going to be more and more coming after. They're also, everybody out there, they're raising their prices. All right. You can hate on me. Call me. You can hate on me, but it's true.
It is
Supply and
true.
demand. Everything
It's
else
true.
is going up, so an appraisal is going up.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. You want to re-inspect the house, it's another 150.
Mhm.
A little bit out of the area, it's another 500. That's the reality of what's going on. But don't look a gift horse on the mount, because sooner or later it's going to turn, and then we're all going to say, you know,
I wish I would have.
I want to go back
Yep.
on the streets again. I want to sell more houses. I want to do more mortgages. I want to appraise more houses.
Mhm.
But we live in that now society. The now society says, hey, appraisers have a lot of work. We're going to charge the max. It's capitalism. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. But don't lie to me and say, hey, you know, I can't get to your project. I'm going to take 4 weeks on turn time. No, it doesn't take 4 weeks to get back an appraisal. So again, all your appraisers, call me up, 248-569-7283. You can hate on me or call me or email me, hglance@lowrateonline.com. But it's true. And we just tell the truth and stop blaming everybody for what's going on in the industry. There's no blame. Everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Title companies are busy. As we said, appraisers are busy. Inspectors are busy. Realtors are busy. Lenders are busy. Everybody's busy. So sometimes you have to wait in line. That's just the way it is. They will all get done. All good loans close. All good houses are appraised out. This is what happens. So just let's take our time, be nice to everybody, be kind, and the work always gets done.
Yeah, I mean, I can get down with paying a little bit extra, but I can't get down with paying a little bit extra for an appraisal when you're still going to take 4 weeks. Like I can't, right? Because, you know, we have certain expectations that we have to meet, and we're trying to set, you know, these certain, you know, timelines, and, you know, we can't be held up by one person, right? Because we could do everything perfect. We can do it all right, but our efficiency is contingent upon everyone else's efficiency, right? So sometimes I do, that's the point I was getting at, is that I feel like they are taking advantage of what's happening, the timelines, the prices, and let's stop the madness, right?
Yeah. So Mike Tom said you're going to call me. I know you're listening. You know he's going to kill me. Okay.
It's all right. We'll take it.
Yep.
I want to go out to Keith. You got a question for us. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Morning. What was the quote? I'm going to stay charging. 35,000 for a garage.
Woo,
What are you
man,
doing?
is it like, is it a
5-car man cave garage? I mean, what
Are you gonna have an
doing?
elevator in there? Yeah. I mean, if you want to get, you know, a $35,000 loan, that's fine and dandy, but I mean, you better be getting some serious upgrades in this garage, like an elevator, a Lamborghini lift. I don't know.
The answer to the question is that what's the best way for you to finance that transaction? Finance transactions, depending on what your house is going to price for, can we pull the cash out of there, get a home equity loan, maybe take a look at financing in a different way. But that's the first thing. We have to get your property appraised and see what it's going to appraise for, because the rates are low. If you roll your first mortgage in and get a cash out refi to pay for the garage, $35,000, it's going to be very manageable because rates are so low. And it sounds like you're going to stay there for a while if they're going to build a $35,000 garage.
Well, the other part of it too.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, money's cheap. Money's
Yeah.
cheap right now. So
And the other part of it is, you know, one of the things that I would do if I was, you know, listing your house or helping someone buy your house is I would say, well, houses in this area without a garage are selling for this, houses with a garage are selling for that. So you got to look at that too and understand what the garage is really adding. If that garage is adding 60,000, then I guess 35,000 for garage, no big deal. But if the garage is only adding 35,000, then I hope you really love the garage, right? So, you know, I've seen garage add a lot of value in some areas. So this is very specific to your community, to be honest with you. But it's definitely something that you can do. And I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm on the real estate side, but the other thing I suppose you could look at doing would be
put the garage on, then do the roof finance, right? Because you got the extra value in the house. I don't know.
Oh,
It is
These are conversations that we have normally
off air for these reasons.
We start digging deep and we go like down a list of questions. It's like, holy cow, this is just about adding a garage. Well, it's a 20-minute conversation because it's really important. 35,000 or 30 or 60 or whatever the number is, a lot of money.
Yeah, John, you've done a lot of home improvements to your house, and so have you, Becky. Oh, well,
Well, we're going to get you a garage, sir. We'll definitely give you a call after the show and we're going to get all your information. We're going to kind of go through this checklist that Joe is kind of alluding to find out what is going to be the best situation for you to get it done. Thanks for the call. Yeah, and John, so like obviously like you and I, you've done a lot of home improvements. I've recently done a lot of home improvements. You can't overprice yourself, right? But if you know that you're going to, you're doing that basement knowing that you're going to stay, right? Then it's worth it. So when we come back from the show, we're going to talk about what can you over improve your house? And if you are going to stay there, does it really matter? Right. So when we come back, 248-539-9797, we're taking all your calls and we'll be right here.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm Becky Alley. We've got Mr. Harry Glanz, John Kolb, the one and only Joe Muck. Love him. He's free. I was going to give you like a wrestling reference, like what you going to do, brother? Because he loves wrestling like I do. It's all good. Okay. So before the break, we actually had a call come in about someone putting on a garage, right? And we got in the topic, off camera about how much is too much when you're improving your house, right? So, John, I know you've recently done some upgrades and we're going to get into all that. So I wanted to kind of, can someone overprice, and when does it really matter? Like when you're doing improvements?
Well, right now is a really tough time, like we were talking about off the air, that, prices for materials are skyrocketing, and, trying to get someone to get any work done in your house is almost impossible. So, does it make sense to me? Absolutely. If you're going to use it and enjoy it, and it's going to be a convenience that you it's really going to improve your life. But like Joe said, you got to make sure that you're not outpricing yourself in the market. But if you're going to be there for the long period of time, I don't think there is a way to outprice it if it is a amenity that you're going to truly love and, improve your quality of life.
Yeah, it's definitely, like we've talked about before, COVID-19 definitely has brought to light, you got to love where you live. So on that note, let's go to Ron. Do you love where you live, Ron? Hey, Ron, you there?
Ron on the cell. Hello.
Yeah. We can hear you. Are you there?
Yeah, my feeling is this. My feeling, just like John said, my feeling is if you're going to have it, the first question we always ask in anything is how long are you going to be in the home? If you're going to be there a while, it's a quality of life issue, you should do it. If you're going to be there, if you're looking to get a return on investment, and that's just not what it's all about. It's about a quality of life issue and how long you're going to be in the house, right, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Typically speaking, we would say you're looking for greater than a 50% return on kitchens, bathrooms, sometimes bedrooms, depending on what they look like and stuff. So even if you get 100% return, that's still just your investment, right? So are you doing this because of a refi or a sale potential, or are you doing this because you want to add value to the home that you love and live in or visit and are going to stay in? Because those are really the things. And at the end of the day, we got to do the same thing I just said. We got to do what an appraiser does. We got to look at your place up in Eau Gray. We got to look at your place and compare it to 3, 4, 5 other places and see what they look like, comparatively speaking. And that's going to determine, is the X dollars that these contractors are telling you really worth that much money? Yes or no? That's the way to figure it out. And unfortunately, the only way to do that is going to have to be to talk to, if you know an appraiser, or definitely talk to, a realtor, or talk to someone that, is in the business and is happy to maybe do you a favor because you're not selling. That's fine. We do it all the time.
Well, that's just what's going on. That's just the nature of what's going on right now. You're not going to sell for what you will down the road, and you're not going to be able to buy for what you will. So, you just got to make that decision. But what you have to understand is, you live down here, the home's up in Eau Gray. I'm not far from you up there. It's, trying to find someone to come out there and get the work done in a timely fashion is going to be hard. That's the most difficult part. And if you're not there every day, then you got to make sure that the people are there showing up, because if you're going to try to sell this in 6 months, a year, it may take 6 months to a year to gut a bathroom up there. I'm just letting you know from experience how hard it is to get help, especially in Northern Michigan.
Yeah, that was a great call, Ron. Yeah, so
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you. So like that's going to be half the other battle, right? So you have these ideas of what you want to do and you're over improving, but then you have these contractors that are so backed up. So can you get someone out there, right? How are you going to police them to do all that work when you're not even going to be, he's not there full time. So it's, so we'll definitely give him a call after the show and we'll figure that out for him. So before we're getting kind of wrapping everything up, I do want to get Joe. I want to hear your fourth quarter predictions, right? So do you think that we are going to get that seasonal slowdown, right? So we have the refinances of rates. They're going to be, the Fed's going to meet in November, get a little bit more serious as far as like tapering off the rates, where that's going to kind of take some things. But do you think we're going to see a seasonal slowdown, or do you think we're going to just, trudge on right on through?
With no disrespect to any other religion or anything like that, we'll have a slowdown from December 24th to about January 3rd. So Christmas is a huge holiday, obviously. And even if you don't celebrate it, you're probably out from school. You might be going on a little vacation. There's a lot of things that happen in those couple of weeks. And so that's when we'll have a slowdown, and that's it. We will be going full steam ahead. I'm looking at September's numbers where we have, still less listings, yet homes are selling for more money than they did just over a year ago. And so everyone's trying to take advantage of that, and they should be, because we've talked about the rates and all that good stuff. And so everyone's going out there looking for homes and looking to sell their homes. We're not seeing a slowdown because there's not enough houses. We have 4,000 less houses on the market right now than we did in March of 2020, right before COVID hit. So COVID didn't slow anything down. We're kind of getting a little bit better with the COVID stuff. And so that means maybe there's actually even more people that will come out rather than less people. We're just seeing more and more people out there. So I don't anticipate any real slowdown outside of those couple of weeks.
Right. So like you have, the inventory continues to be an issue, right? We keep talking about the inventory, lack of inventory, right? We kind of started touching on a little bit of the new construction, but the issue with new construction is that the delay it takes to build these homes, it's not really offsetting that inventory shortage that we're needing to, but I do think that the buyers are still, like you're saying, the buyers that were frustrated that possibly sideline themselves, they are going to start, in my opinion, they're going to be coming out for the fourth quarter into the winter months for sure.
I had a good amount of people come out, September and say, hey, I'm ready now. I was waiting on the sidelines, and it got a little bit less busy because of school. But this is such a relative term. It's like one of those things saying,
well, we had 1,000 and now we have 999. So we're less busy. Right. And so maybe that's, not the exact numbers, but I'm just saying, we are still slamming. It's just maybe not as slamming as it was in July. Right. But it's still on fire. You'd still be a playoff bound, championship bound team if this is what you were doing. So it's absolutely a busy time out here, and we're not going to really see much of a slowdown because the builders can't build any faster. Even if they didn't lose workers, they can only build so many homes a year. The people that are buying and selling real estate are still just buying and selling real estate. So there's only so much time. There's only so many houses, and we're seeing less and less. There's less days on market, and we need an influx of inventory to even try and catch up.
There won't be less buyers, and there won't be more homes on the market. So what does that tell you? It's going to be the same. First quarter is going to be about the same. We're looking for a great 2022. There are going to be a plethora of buyers, and we'll see what the inventory looks like. But right now, there's not a lot of inventory out there.
It's like a present-day rap song. You're just going to keep hearing the same thing over and over and over. Nothing new.
Well, yeah, I mean, but part of that too is like, if we even like on our radio show, if we even just connect with one person that decides that they're going to make that decision, and this is going to be the day that they start to really get on that home ownership train, why not do it? If you can afford a mortgage, now is the time to do it, because the rates, like we keep preaching, are not going down to zero. And it's our job to kind of put that information out there to make sure that everyone is aware. It's, even though it's a competitive market, why would you want to pay $1,300 for someone else's mortgage when you could be paying that for yourself?
Well, that's the thing. Gosh, we don't have enough time. Rent is extremely high. I mean, we're seeing rentals going in areas that maybe it was $800, a handful of years ago, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. When you're making a rent payment, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. No one is doing their rental as a big loss every single month.
So clearly that person's making money. Now
Now, there's a reason for some folks to rent.
There's an absolute great opportunity for some people to rent. But for many people, if you're renting, you should be working towards becoming a homeowner.
You heard it. Work towards a homeowner, and it's all about goals. If you're thinking about buying or selling or even refinancing, it starts with a phone call, and it starts with a phone call to Capital Mortgage Funding. Thank you for joining us. For Becky Alley, Harry Glanz, Joe Muck, the one and only John Kolb. You'll hear Harvey Freed next Saturday on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Until then, happy Sweetest Day.